Hello, welcome back. I've been away for a few days with the family, having a holiday. Managed to get COVID in that period of time. So I'm about 5 days into that, which is fun. Haven't been feeling too bad, to be honest, but yeah, getting through it. My son gave it to me. He's been a bit sick as well. So we're just chilling out and taking it easy. But um, one of those things, like being sick for me brings up memories, obviously, because I've got immune issues from having cancer treatment, and it just sort of takes me back to periods of time where I used to get really sick. And it just makes me think about my consistency and my habit forming. And I've I've struggled in the past to stay consistent with things. I think everybody does. Like when you're trying to form a new habit, it's hard not to be complacent and sort of give up after a certain period of time. And the perfect example of this is, and it's something that I want to dive into a little bit, is the book Atomic Habits. And it's interesting, just if you've read that book or you've spoken to someone about that book or you're thinking about reading that book, I recommend reading it. But it kind of relates in a couple of different ways. And I just want to use myself as an example because, um, you know, remaining consistent and having new habits formed is a really hard thing to do. And part of it comes down to like your identity as well. And I had a conversation with somebody about this over the weekend, a friend. We briefly spoke about the book Atomic Habits, and just being sick and going through this process and how it makes me feel kind of takes me back to moments where I used to identify as being a sick person. Like, going through cancer treatment for a couple of years, like you obviously become quite fragile. You become a different version of yourself. I was weak. I was unwell. I didn't look well. I was fragile. I wasn't able to exercise. Wasn't the person I used to be. And for a long period of time, I really struggled mentally as to identifying with somebody that was just a sick person. Like I used to just identify myself as being this sick, fragile person. And it was really hard because I kind of thought, am I always gonna feel this way? Like after my treatment, I've got to get out of this thought process or this thought pattern of thinking that I'm constantly identifying with being a cancer patient, basically. So I worked really hard on that, with through different means like meditation, talking to a psychologist, talking to other people, doing personal development and self development on changing my mindset around identifying as a cancer patient, identifying as a sick person. And that's why, like I said, this kind of brings up every time I get sick, it kind of has a trigger for me. It triggers me to think about, because before I had cancer, I rarely got sick. It was very, very uncommon for me to get sick. I was always trying to stay fit and healthy. And then since I've had the treatment, I got sick all the time for a couple of years after I did the treatment and the stem cell transplant. Every second month I was sick, and I'd be sick for 2 3 weeks, and it was very frustrating. And then we figured out I had an immune deficiency, which I still have to sort of do treatment for still to this day. But I haven't been sick for like 4 or 5 months now until I've just got COVID. Literally, I've been really well for a good period of time, which is great. But like I said, those triggers kick in like when I got COVID, and I'm like, I started to identify as a sick person. And then when I started to think about it, this period of my life is the first time where I've really stayed consistent with my good habits as far as like eating, exercise, taking supplements. And the thing is, like, I have this tendency when I get sick, I drop off that bandwagon. I become inconsistent and complacent when I start to get sick, which is weird because you'd think if I was sick, I would just keep taking my supplements to make myself feel better. But I kind of drop off that when I feel bad. So I really had this time when I got sick, I was like, I need to make sure I'm identifying with the new person I am, which is a healthy and fit person. And I make sure I can keep those habits consistent. And just thinking about those habits, those habit forming, and talking about the book Atomic Habits, and having that conversation with a friend about identifying with that person. It's about it. Like, for example, we were speaking like getting up and exercising. So you get up in the morning, and maintaining a good habit is identifying as a person that would be fit and healthy. So instead of waking up and going, oh, I can't be bothered, you're identifying then as a lazy person that can't be bothered. Whereas, like, as hard as it is, you need to get into a situation where you're like, I'm that fit, healthy person, athlete, whatever it is, or I'm a healthy person, I'm not a cancer patient, whatever it is, and identify with that and keep that habit consistent and do it as much as possible, because it's really hard to constantly stay on track with forming a new habit. And you know, a lot of it for me is about who I identify with, which if you read the book, you resonate with that as well. And so I've spent this time, the last few days, feeling a bit crappy with COVID, going, well, no, I am a fit, healthy person, because, like, by all means, like, I've been told by my doctors and specialists, they rang me today because, like, I have to ring them and let them know that I've had COVID because I'm still in active immunotherapy treatment. So I have to ring them and let them know. So they've rung me back today and said, well, you have to now go on antiviral medication because we were a bit worried about what's going on with your immune system. So it's probably better off if you go on these antiviral meds. You qualify for them. We've got to apply to the government, do all this sort of stuff. 80% chance of reducing your hospitalization. But the last week I've been identifying with a fit, healthy person that I've been lately, and not trying to think, oh no, like, I'm going to get really sick because I've got COVID, my immune system's not great, I'm one of those people, I'm going to end up in hospital. But to be honest, like, I got sick on Sunday, today's Thursday, Monday, Tuesday were really bad days. Yesterday I felt better, today I feel pretty much fine. So I'm in this battle, like, do I take these, they're sending me these antiviral drugs to my house regardless of, and they said it's up to me if I take them or not. But it's just got me thinking about who I identify with now and keeping those habits consistent, because all this week I've been staying consistent in my habits of, I've been resting, I haven't been exercising, obviously for two different reasons. I've hurt myself, my shoulder's injured, and I've had advice from a couple of friends who thought they felt great when they had COVID and they exercised and they made themselves sicker. So I've just decided to chill out, take it easy. Been working from home, spending time with Teddy. He's been a little bit sick as well, but been consistent, taking my vitamins and my supplements and eating well and just resting, and I feel fine. But I just wanted to touch on that as far as habits and consistency go, and so much of it has got to do with who you identify as, and that's something that I had to work on massively. So, and that doesn't, I'm just using myself as an example. So it's something, if you want to improve something, whether it's, professionally, personally, in your relationship, in your parenting, in your exercise, in your nutrition, you gotta sit back and think, what would a perfect parent do in this situation? What would an athlete do in this situation? What would a healthy a person who eats healthy do in this situation? All those sorts of things. So, if there's something that you really want to change, drop out of your life, whether it's smoking, a bad habit, any type of bad habit, whatever it is, you got to start to realize that you need to identify with the person that you want to be, and those habits, that habit forming will become easier. But obviously, I'm just sort of taking little leaflets out of the book that I read, which I think a lot of people around the globe have read, to change really good habits, and it's really it's set out in a way that most people can follow the formula of forming new habits, and there's ways to do it, and it's gradually. You can't do it immediately. You can't just shut things off and try and start new things. There's ways that you stack habits, and there's ways that you form new habits, and there's a way that you slowly get rid of other ones. So that's my piece today. Like I said, just getting ill this week with COVID just made me think about how I got through it. Whereas in the past, when I identified as a cancer patient, I probably would have stayed sicker for longer and identified as a sick person and really struggled to get through that illness. Whereas I feel like I've got COVID and I've absolutely smashed the way I feel and the way I've dealt with it, including my stress levels, the way I thought about it, even though that I'm technically in that small group of people that should be in hospital on a ventilator, and I'm not. But, COVID's another conversation for everybody, knowing about how serious it is and how serious it isn't, and I'm not going to go into that. You all have your own opinions, and that's fine. Like I said, I'm objective about everything, and whatever you think, that's your world. That's fine with me. So identify as who you want to be, forming your good habits, and it'll do good things for you. Thanks, guys.